What's going on YouTube? So the RAV4 is of course one of the very most popular models in the US, which means that the RAV4 Hybrid is also one of the most popular hybrids. And today we're with the latest 2024 RAV4 Hybrid, and we want to know, is this the best version of this bestseller? Well, let's go ahead and find out. So a fitting place to start things off here is under the hood with some specifications. So with this hybrid model, we do have a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine paired with the electric componentry. That's going to make a total system power of 219 horsepower, which is 16 more horsepower than that traditional gas-powered model if you're shopping between them.
Now you do have an ECVT on all models, and all-wheel drive is standard equipment on the hybrid models as well. As far as your fuel economy, it comes in at a very impressive 40 miles per gallon combined on most trim levels.
And later on in this review, of course, we're going to go out for a drive, show you the performance of this model. While we're on that drive, we're going to get things like our signature sound level reading so that we can compare this to the competition at carconfections.com. But now let's go ahead and close up the hood and check out the exclusive XSE trim level on the hybrid. Now Toyota is really good about offering the hybrid in a lot of different trim levels. But if you want a really sporty looking RAV4, the SE and the XSE are two trim levels definitely worth considering, and those are going to be hybrid exclusive. We have the XSE today, and as you can see up here in the front, you're going to have a lot of nice blacked out elements. We have the gloss black finish to our grille, and the same gloss black finish is going to be all down here on the lower part of the fascia, as well as in some other places around the rest of the exterior that you'll see. Really the only thing signifying this is the hybrid is that we have this kind of blue trim tracing around the Toyota emblem. Now let's talk a little bit about lighting as well. For our headlights, we are going to have standard LED headlights, but most models will come with these premium LED projector headlights. We also have a daytime running light across the top and an LED turn signal here in the front. And then coming down below, a lot of the versions are going to find LED fog lamps down here. However, if you have the SE or the XSE, you won't have a fog light, and on the XSE instead, you're going to have this LED accent just like you get on the RAV4 Prime plug-in hybrid. Now, moving around to the rear design, Toyota doesn't change much when it comes to hybrid differences from the traditional gas model.
Yeah, there is one difference though. The blue ring around the Toyota badge, you'll definitely notice that. And of course, the XSE is one of these sportier RAV4s that you can get. So you're going to have an integrated spoiler up top, an exposed rear wiper, and you do also have the blacked out Toyota branding. I really like how that looks in overall contrast with the paint color. Now, here at Car Confections, one of the things that we like to do is test out all the taillight elements and see if all of the elements are LEDs. So Drew's going to go ahead and go through the taillight phases. We do have an LED brake light portion, incandescent reverse light, incandescent turn signal. So 1 out of 3 elements are LED. That's the standard affair for the RAV4 lineup. And then as we drop down to this lower area, this is one of the areas that I really like about the XSE. All of this is finished in piano black, and we do have a nice kind of silver finish down here at the bottom. So none of that matte black plastic that fades over time. I really like the overall look of this. Additionally, we do get dual integrated exhaust outlets. Looks really quite nice. And as far as your tow rating, it's 1,750 pounds, which is 250 pounds more than the gasoline RAV4.
Now moving on to our wheels. With all the wide variety of trims, you have a wide variety of wheel options. This XSE is going to come with the 18-inch gloss black alloy wheels. Looks very nice with all the other gloss black accents. And the mirrors will also be finished in a gloss black. You have an LED turn signal indicator built in. We also have heating and blind spot monitoring.
Now here at the side of the RAV4, I do want to go ahead and talk about the overall vehicle length. It comes in at 180.9 inches long, which is a good size for this segment of vehicle. And I also want to talk about some of the design elements because this XSE has some special design elements that I certainly would consider over the other versions of the RAV4. So down here at the bottom, all of this is going to be finished in a gloss black. You also have gloss black around your wheel arches and in the front and the back. I definitely like the gloss black look a lot more than the rugged good matte black plastic that you get on a lot of the other versions of the RAV4. Now, one of the other things that's special for the XSE is the option of getting a two-tone roof. You can get that on this model, and I really also love the way that looks. It's pretty rare for this segment of vehicle to have a two-tone roof, and it really spices up the overall look. Now, as far as your safety systems are concerned, Toyota is going to nicely include all of them as standard equipment, regardless of what trim level you get of the RAV4. So that, of course, is all 4 of your active safety features. But guys, there's a lot to dive into on the inside, so let's go ahead and get into that. But first,
if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
Now let's go ahead and move on to the interior. First, of course, we'll take a quick look at the fob. Typical Toyota key fob. This is the smart entry system with RAV4 branding, and it's standard on all but the base LE. Getting inside, just reach behind the handle. That will unlock the door. Now, taking a look inside of the cab, and of course you're going to have that signature RAV4 design. You're also going to have some of the upgrades that Toyota made when they recently refreshed some of the materials and technology. But before we get into those specific details, let's of course start by talking about the seats. So you're going to begin things with cloth seats, but as you work through the lineup, you are going to upgrade to the Softex faux leather. That's what we have here on the XSE. Black is the only available color, but we do have the blue color contrast stitching and piping that runs throughout the seat. Overall feels pretty realistic, and it is comfortable. As far as the seat controls, they're going to be 8-way power with 2-way lumbar support, and that's going to be on all but the base model with a manual seat. And if you want memory seats, you'll have to choose the Loaded Limited. But let's go ahead and climb inside. Now that we got inside and closed the door, let's talk about the rest of the cabin materials. Starting with our door trim, the XSE is going to get the more premium version of the door trim. That's going to be covered basically in a leatherette all the way to the top. And you also have blue color contrast stitching, which will go through there, as well as along the dashboard. Upper part of the dash is a soft touch plastic. The middle part is going to be a leatherette, again with the stitching detail. And then the lower panels will not be padded, but everything does feel pretty solid overall. And we'll go ahead and fire it up with the push button start. Now moving on to some of the individual details, let's focus in on our gauge cluster. We do have the 7-inch reconfigurable multi-function display right there in the middle. It's going to have some hybrid specific information as well as all the other things you expect. And then you have modified gauges, of course, for hybrid duty over there on the sides. And then as we pull it back to the steering wheel, you are going to notice that it has a nice leather wrapping on board. We have the weather package on this example, so that means we have steering wheel heating. We're also going to have rain sensing wipers located right there. And the wheel itself will be manual tilt and telescoping, by the way. Now, turning over here to our center console, let's open this up. We are Car Confections after all, and as my shirt says, today our emblem is a donut. So that's why we do the donut test. We like to see how many will fit in the center console. This RAV4 can handle 10 donuts. So it's a pretty good amount of donuts for this segment, but a little under the dozen. But up in front of that, we still have 2 really deep cup holders. And then you have a nice pad up here where you can stick your phone. It will always be rubber lined, but it can be a wireless phone charging pad on some of the other trim levels. Above there, we also have the passenger storage shelf, which is a cool place for the passenger to stick their phone or whatever other objects they have up there. Now, coming down to the shifter, we've got a nice meaty shifter here. It's just a traditional style, so nothing complicated. Bump over here to the left if you want to go through some simulated gear changes. Obviously, they're not going to be paddle shifters on the steering wheel. Heading into reverse, this is our kind of upgraded mid-level backup camera. So the XSE trim level is where you begin to have the active trajectory. We also have rear parking sensors on board. And you can option on a 360 camera to the XSE if you want to. It is standard on the limited trim level. And then right next to that, you have your electronic parking brake and brake hold. This does activate automatically when you go into park. Now behind that, we have some drive mode controls, of course. And then as we kind of rise above, this is our dual zone automatic climate control system. So compared to the gas RAV4, actually every single hybrid will come with a dual zone automatic climate. Very simple to use. We have these huge knobs here to make your temperature adjustments and full physical controls. Also in this area, you have your heated seat controls. These are going to be standard on XSE and Limited. You can option them onto most of the lower trims as well, and you can get seat ventilation on the top Limited trim level. Now, let's take a look next at our volume knob and the audio systems that are controlled by it. So, 6-speaker sound system is what is standard on pretty much every single trim level. You can option on a JBL sound system with 11 speakers, but we just have the regular version, so let's give it a sample now. Overall sound quality is perfectly adequate. I feel like most people will not be bothered by this at all, but if you enjoy, having a little bit more character, a little bit more bass to your music, then look into upgrading to that JBL sound system. All right, so let's zero in on the infotainment system. This is one of the things that was updated fairly recently on the RAV4 to give you bigger displays and the latest Toyota multimedia infotainment system. So this upper trim level is going to have the 10.5-inch display. This is a high-resolution display. It's also very nice and responsive as well. Like I said, it is going to have that latest infotainment system, so you have features like wireless Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay. And once you activate the system, you also have the built-in navigation system. Rising above here, we have a frameless auto-dimming mirror with 3 HomeLink universal remotes. And then taking a look at the top. Once you get to the XLE Premium grade, that's going to get you a standard size sunroof. You can further upgrade the XSE and the Limited trim levels to a panoramic sunroof as well.
All right, now families buy these RAV4s, so let's go ahead and dive into what you're going to get in the rear seat area for this RAV4 hybrid. Now, first of all, I do want to just go ahead and talk about your rear legroom figures. You're going to be sitting at about 37.8 inches of legroom, 39.5 inches of headroom, so those are very competitive figures for the segment. It's not going to be quite as large as some stuff like the Honda CR-V, for instance. And then as far as the knee space that we have, about 7.5 inches of knee space with the seat adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8". I'm 5'9" for reference. And my feet can also easily slide up underneath of the seat. Now the seats themselves do recline a decent amount, so overall you can get quite comfortable in the rear seat of this RAV4. And then as far as features are concerned, we do have vents standard on all but the very base LE trim level. We also have USB ports that are Type-C variety, since we do have one of the higher end versions of the RAV4. Additionally, when it comes to features, if you really like your RAV4 to be kind of bougie in terms of features, you can get the RAV4 Limited with heated rear seats additionally, which is very rare for this segment. Also, we do have a fold-down armrest with 2 cup holders inside, and then diving into the door trim, the materials will follow through, so we have a leatherette on the upper portion, we have leatherette through the middle as well, and then we do have quite a bit of bottle storage in the very bottom. And walking up to the tailgate, you do have a power tailgate if you choose an XLE Premium trim level or above. You can also get foot activation optionally on the Limited trim level. And then as far as this area is concerned, I'm sure you're probably concerned about the overall space with this being a hybrid. We've been discussing the hybrid specifically here. Does it cost you a lot over the gasoline model? And I'm very happy to tell you it does not. It actually gets the exact same cargo specs as the gasoline RAV4, so you're not sacrificing even a little bit when it comes to the hybrid. So we're sitting at around 37 cubic feet of space behind the second row of seats. If we fold the seats down, you can just kind of reach up and fold them like so. You're going to have a maximum of 69 cubic feet. Now, as far as how that compares to the rivals, that is going to be less than Honda CR-V. It's going to be a little bit less than stuff like the Nissan Rogue, but it's still going to be quite a bit larger than other options like the Mazda CX-5. Now, here at Car Confections, one of the things that we like to do is give you all the measures. So, of course, we measured the rear seat knee room, but we're also going to measure the cargo length from the driver's seat all the way to the rear of the cargo area. We're sitting at 75 inches of overall length. If we measure from the back of the second row of seats, we're looking at about 38 inches of length. And then as far as the cargo opening, how wide that is, we're sitting at looks like about 41 or 42 inches of cargo width. Now, one of the other things I want to point out about the RAV4 Hybrid is that you do not lose the spare tire, so you just lift that up and there is a spare tire integrated underneath. Well, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the 2024 Toyota RAV4 Hybrid. In this test drive, we're going to be talking about quite a few different things, as you can see on the screen right now, including getting our signature sound level reading going 55 miles per hour. But first, we're going to go ahead and start with a hard acceleration.
All right, so that was up to about 60 miles an hour. We have the red light coming up, so not all the way up. And we were going uphill, but overall power is pretty good. As we mentioned at the spec dump, the RAV4 Hybrid actually makes more power than the standard gas version. And even the gas version makes pretty good power for the class. It's already over 200 horsepower, and this has 219 horsepower.
Yeah, we've said it in RAV4 Hybrid reviews in the past, and I'll say it again here. The electric torque just kind of gets you off the line because it does, of course, have that battery assisting, and that makes you feel like you're going quite a bit faster than the gas model, even though the horsepower is only about 16 more horsepower for this RAV4 Hybrid. But I think you guys are going to be very pleasantly surprised if you're coming from a gas one to a hybrid at the overall power difference.
And just to recap what the system is composed of, this is a 2.5 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine. It is going to be paired with a front and small rear electric motor, and together you will have, again, that 219 system horsepower. You will also have standard all-wheel drive because of that as well.
Yeah, so that's certainly something to consider. The traditional gas RAV4 does not have standard all-wheel drive, and when you're cross-shopping with those two, it's really not too big of a price difference. We'll talk about that in just a second when you compare a gas all-wheel drive model to a gas or a hybrid version.
As you might be able to tell by the sound of it, we do have an eCVT on board. It's nice and responsive overall. You know, Toyota is really a master at hybrid systems. They've been making hybrids longer than anybody else,
Yep.
and they just do a great job of making everything work together seamlessly.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we actually have had 2 RAV4 hybrids for a week each. So we've driven this RAV4 hybrid over many, many miles and long road trips and all that. And I really do just think the overall hybrid system works absolutely flawlessly. It's definitely the best hybrid, in my opinion, in the segment when it comes to overall integration and just feeling like a traditional experience. You never feel when the engine kicks on and off. The only thing that you're going to be able to tell that the engine is on and off is just the noise that you hear, because the feeling is imperceptible.
Right, you can see the little button that'll turn on. It'll tell you when you're in EV mode, but the handoff is really very seamless.
All right, and I do also want to just go ahead and mention fuel economy, because we asked at the beginning of the video, is this the best version of this best-selling RAV4? And I think fuel economy is really the main thing to look at when it comes to the RAV4 hybrid. And for most versions of this vehicle, you're going to be sitting at 40 miles a gallon combined as your EPA estimate. Now, do keep in mind you have standard all-wheel drive, and the trim level do vary the fuel economy a little bit. With this XSE, it's rated at 39 miles a gallon combined. The Woodland is coming in at 37, so do keep that in mind. It does vary a little bit depending on the trim levels. But one of the things that Drew and I want to mention is that over those week-long tests that we had for this RAV4 hybrid, this was actually a vehicle that outperformed the EPA estimate in our real-world experience. We drove it hundreds and hundreds of miles, and it was well above 40 miles per gallon. If I'm remembering correctly, I think it was sitting at like 43 miles per gallon on mixed driving, which is just exceptionally good fuel economy. And I think that today has got to be the slam dunk, because it is just such a great element of this RAV4, the overall efficiency.
Yeah, for sure. And then on the airball side of things, again, we're going to go into pricing in just a second, but this tends to be one of the very priciest options in the segment. So while it is, very good in a lot of ways, do expect to pay a little bit more than, say, a Honda CR-V, or especially something like a Nissan Rogue or Hyundai Tucson.
But we're going 55 miles per hour, so let's go ahead and get our sound level reading. Fan speed's on 1. .4 decibels is our official Car Confections sound level reading in this 2024 RAV4 hybrid. Now, one thing I do want to point out is that we do even have the crossbars installed on this particular tester, which normally increases your sound level quite a bit. So I'm happy to see that that's still a very good reading, but we don't have to sit there and guess how it compares because we can actually go to carconfections.com/sound level readings and see how this compares to all of its competition. Well, there's some consistency for you. That places it right in between the other 2024 RAV4, the gasoline model that we tested out earlier this year, and the 23 XSE model that we also tested out, which also had the crossbars. So that's definitely something to just keep in mind. It's going to be 56 decibels, which places it pretty much on the upper end of the segment and quieter options for this compact SUV segment. And no family SUV would be complete without a quick discussion about ride quality. In this RAV4, I will say the ride quality is very good. As we have mentioned previously, we've driven this on long road trips. We've had it for multiple weeks, and it is just so good. Over long road trips, the seats are very supportive. The suspension does a fantastic job of soaking up the bumps. And if you're concerned that the XSE on the outside looks awful sporty and translates to a rough ride quality, don't be concerned about that at all. It's pretty much just an appearance package. And lastly here, I do want to discuss your warranty. This is going to be equipped with Toyota's signature warranty, which is a 3-year 36,000 mile basic warranty, a 5-year 60,000 mile powertrain warranty. Additionally, Toyota does give you 2 years and 25,000 miles of complimentary maintenance.
And let's talk pricing. With all that fuel you're saving, you might think that there's a huge price increase from getting a hybrid over the regular gasoline model, and I'm happy to tell you that on an equivalent gasoline all-wheel drive to a hybrid is about $1,000 difference is all, so I think you'll definitely make up for that when it comes to fuel savings. LE is going to start at $31,725, XLE is going to be $33,235, SC $34,420, and then of course there's quite a few different trim levels, ending in the limited that starts a touch over $40,000. Now, since we have the XSE, we start at $37,385, plus all of the accessories, the weather package and all of that, plus $1,350 destination. We're sitting at $40,552 as tested today. And if you're looking to buy a Toyota RAV4 or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. Now, why you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local dealers in your area to get you the best price on your new vehicle. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealer negotiation. If you'd like to take advantage of that, a link is provided in our video description. And guys, that's going to be where we leave off on this in-depth review of the 2024 Toyota RAV4 Hybrid. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decision, we would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, not only are you going to gain access to a ton of automotive content, you're also going to become a part of our Car Confections family. There is a lot of stuff that I'm sure you won't want to miss out on, and we have a lot of fun on this channel as well. So please join in on our family. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.